In 1995, neuroscientist Giacomo Rizzolatti made a discovery that would revolutionize our understanding of human connection. In his laboratory at the University of Parma, he was studying motor neurons in macaque monkeys when something inexplicable happened. A researcher reached for his lunch and the monitoring equipment suddenly lit up, not in the researcher's brain, but in the monkey's. The monkey's neurons fired as if it were performing the action itself, simply by observing. Rizzolatti had stumbled upon what would become known as mirror neurons, cells that don't just respond to our own experiences, but literally mirror the experiences of others. What began as an accidental finding in monkeys would eventually explain something humans have whispered about for centuries: why some people don't just understand others' emotions, they feel them as if those emotions were their own. Rizzolatti's discovery gave scientific legitimacy to what empaths have always known. Their nervous systems are fundamentally different, wired not just for observation, but for absorption. And that difference, far from being a weakness or an illusion, is as neurologically real as any other trait mapped in the human brain. But here's what makes this discovery both liberating and unsettling. If you're reading this and you've always felt overwhelmed in crowds, drained after conversations, or inexplicably affected by others' moods, you're not broken. You're not too sensitive or overly emotional. Your mirror neuron system is simply operating at a level most people can't comprehend. And while that gift allows you to connect with others in ways that feel almost supernatural, it also makes you vulnerable to a world that wasn't designed for nervous systems as porous as yours. The signs of being an empath aren't just about feeling deeply. They're about how your body, mind, and energy field respond to stimuli most people filter out without noticing. And once you recognize these signs, everything changes. Not because you gain superpowers, but because you finally understand why life has always felt so intense, so exhausting, so impossibly beautiful, and unbearably painful all at once. If you've ever walked into a room and immediately known something was wrong without anyone speaking a word, if you felt physical pain when watching someone suffer, if crowds leave you depleted even when nothing bad happened, if you absorb others' stress until it feels like your own, you're experiencing what science is only beginning to validate and what ancient wisdom has always recognized. Empaths aren't just people who care a lot. They're individuals whose neurological wiring creates a fundamentally different experience of reality. Your mirror neurons fire more intensely. Your emotional processing centers are more active. Your nervous system lacks the filters most people take for granted. And this difference isn't metaphorical. It's measurable, observable, and has profound implications for how you navigate relationships, work, and your own mental health. Dr. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive persons, HSP, reveals that approximately 15 to 20% of the population possesses this trait, a percentage too large to be a disorder, but small enough to create profound isolation for those who have it. Recent meta-analyses published in Clinical Psychological Science 2025 confirm that highly sensitive individuals show significantly different patterns of brain activation when processing emotional and sensory stimuli. Your empathy isn't weakness, it's a distinct neurobiological configuration. But understanding this doesn't just validate your experience, it equips you to protect yourself from the hidden dangers that come with nervous systems designed for deep resonance in a world optimized for shallow connection. What you're about to discover are 8 signs most people miss, signs that distinguish true empaths from people who simply care. And more importantly, you'll learn why recognizing these signs isn't just about self-understanding, it's about survival. Hidden Sign 1. You experience physical symptoms from others' emotions, the somatic mirror effect. Most people think empathy happens in the mind. You understand what someone feels, you care about their pain. But for true empaths, the experience is fundamentally somatic. You don't just understand someone's anxiety, your heart races. Don't just recognize someone's sadness, your chest tightens. You don't conceptualize others' emotions, you embody them. This is what neuropsychologists call the somatic mirror effect, and it's rooted in hyperactive mirror neuron systems combined with reduced boundaries between self and other. Dr. Marco Iacoboni at UCLA discovered that in individuals with heightened empathy, mirror neurons don't just fire during emotional observation, they trigger cascading activation in the insula, bodily awareness, anterior cingulate cortex, pain processing, and amygdala, emotional response. For empaths, observing someone in distress doesn't just create emotional recognition, it creates physiological resonance. Your body responds as if the experience were happening to you. Studies using functional MRI show that when empaths watch others in pain, the same neural circuits activate as when they experience pain themselves. This isn't imagination, it's neurological reality. Consider Sarah, who sought therapy not for her own depression, but for mysterious physical symptoms, chronic fatigue, tension headaches, digestive issues that appeared without medical cause. Through careful tracking, her therapist discovered a pattern. Sarah's symptoms intensified after spending time with her chronically stressed sister. She wasn't catching stress psychologically, her nervous system was literally mirroring her sister's physiological state. When her sister's cortisol spiked, Sarah's did too. When her sister's muscles tensed, Sarah's followed. This is the hidden cost of the somatic mirror effect. Your body becomes a tuning fork for others' dysregulation. Your practice begins with what Dr. Judith Orloff calls energy differentiation. When you feel strong emotions or physical symptoms, pause and ask, "Is this mine?" Track when symptoms appear. If they emerge after specific interactions, you're experiencing somatic mirroring. The solution isn't to stop caring. It's to establish what Orloff terms an energetic boundary, a conscious practice of recognizing where you end and others begin. Try this. When symptoms arise, place one hand on your heart and ask, "Would I feel this if I were alone?" Answer is no. You're mirroring, but somatic mirroring is just the beginning. The second sign reveals something even more isolating. Hidden sign 2, you need solitude to function. The energetic recharge protocol. While most people recharge through social connection, empaths deplete through it. This isn't introversion. Introverts prefer solitude but can handle social situations without physiological cost. Empaths, by contrast, experience what researchers call sensory processing sensitivity overload. Dr. Elaine Aron's studies show that HSPs have more active neural pathways processing subtle stimuli, meaning every conversation, every environment, every interaction generates more data for your nervous system to process. The result? Rapid depletion that feels less like tiredness and more like sensory shutdown. Neuroscience confirms this. Empaths show heightened activation in brain regions associated with awareness, planning, and reflection when processing sensory and social information. You're not just experiencing the world, you're processing it at multiple levels simultaneously. Dr. Bianca Acevedo's research using MRI scans demonstrates that in response to emotional stimuli, empaths show stronger activation in brain areas involved in awareness and emotion processing, particularly the insula and mirror neuron regions. This constant hyper-awareness is exhausting at a neurological level. Your brain is doing more work in every interaction than the average person's. James, a successful consultant, couldn't understand why weekend social events, even enjoyable ones, left him feeling hollowed out for days. Colleagues called him antisocial when he declined invitations, but James wasn't avoiding people because he disliked them. He was protecting himself from energetic bankruptcy. Through awareness, James recognized a pattern. After 3 hours of social interaction, his cognitive function noticeably declined. After a full day, he experienced symptoms resembling a mild concussion, brain fog, emotional numbness, physical exhaustion. He wasn't being dramatic. His nervous system was genuinely overwhelmed by data processing demands that would be manageable for non-empaths. The protocol: identify your social threshold, the point at which you shift from engaged to depleted. For most empaths, it's 2 to 4 hours in group settings, 4 to 6 hours one-on-one. Once you know your limit, honor it ruthlessly. Schedule recovery time after every social event, minimum 2 hours alone in a quiet space. This isn't optional self-care, it's neurological necessity. Think of it as your nervous system requiring defragmentation after processing thousands of subtle emotional and sensory inputs. Yet even with solitude, empaths face another challenge most never name. Hidden sign 3. You absorb environments like a sponge, the atmospheric sensitivity syndrome. Empaths don't just sense people, they sense places. Walk into a room where an argument just occurred, and you feel the tension even if everyone is smiling. Enter a building with a traumatic history, and your body responds with inexplicable anxiety. This is atmospheric sensitivity syndrome, your nervous system's ability to detect and absorb emotional residue in environments. While this sounds mystical, the mechanism is grounded in the phenomenon of emotional contagion combined with heightened sensitivity to microcues. Research by Dr. Sigil Barzad at Wharton demonstrates that emotional states transfer between people through unconscious mimicry of facial expressions, vocalizations, postures, and movements. And this process happens within milliseconds. For empaths, this mechanism operates on overdrive. You're not just picking up on current emotional states, you're detecting lingering patterns, reading body language so subtle others miss it entirely, and responding to chemical signals, pheromones, stress hormones that most people's sensory systems filter out. Studies on olfaction show that humans can detect emotional states through scent alone, and empaths appear to have lower thresholds for these subtle chemical communications. Maria, a real estate agent, developed an unusual method for evaluating properties. She would spend 15 minutes alone in each space, noting her emotional and physical responses. Colleagues mocked her woo-woo approach until her accuracy became undeniable. Homes where she felt anxious or sad consistently revealed hidden histories of conflict, illness, or tragedy that affected resale value. She wasn't psychic. She was detecting atmospheric information through hyper-vigilant sensory processing, reading cues in air quality, subtle odors, electromagnetic fields, and spatial arrangements that communicated emotional history most people processed unconsciously or not at all. Your practice? Before entering any space, establish your baseline. Check in with your emotional and physical state. After spending time in a new environment, reassess. If you feel significantly different without clear cause, you're absorbing atmospheric energy. The solution is what practitioners call energetic clearing, physically leaving the space, spending time in nature, or using water, showers, hand washing to symbolically and actually reset your nervous system. This isn't superstition, it's utilizing the parasympathetic reset properties of natural environments and physical cleansing rituals. But atmospheric sensitivity pales compared to the fourth sign, one that affects your most intimate relationships. Hidden sign 4. You can't separate your feelings from others, the emotional enmeshment trap. This is the most dangerous sign and the one most easily mistaken for codependency. Emotional enmeshment in empaths occurs when your mirror neuron system is so active that you lose track of where your emotions end and others begin. Your partner is anxious and you become anxious. Your friend is depressed and depression washes over you. Your parent is angry and rage fills your body, even when you have nothing to be angry about. This isn't weakness or poor boundaries in the traditional sense, it's neurological boundary dissolution. Dr. Judith Orloff describes this as emotional merging, when empaths' neural attunement to others becomes so strong that emotional differentiation becomes nearly impossible. Recent research on interpersonal neural synchrony shows that during meaningful social interactions, people's brain activity literally synchronizes. For empaths, this synchrony happens faster, deeper, and with longer-lasting effects. You don't just empathize, you neurologically fuse, and then struggle to separate afterward. Consider David, whose romantic relationships consistently ended with the same pattern. He would become so attuned to his partner's emotional state that he lost touch with his own needs, desires, and boundaries. When his girlfriend was stressed, he couldn't relax. When she was sad, his mood plummeted. He wasn't being manipulated. His nervous system was literally unable to maintain separate emotional regulation when in close proximity to someone he cared about. Therapists misdiagnosed this as codependency and prescribed healthy boundaries. But traditional boundary-setting exercises failed because the issue wasn't psychological, it was neurological. David needed not just behavioral changes, but somatic practices to maintain nervous system autonomy. The solution requires what I call the 3-7-1 emotional differentiation method. 3 times a day, check in with your emotional state and ask, would I feel this if I were alone? After 7 days of this practice, you'll identify your baseline versus absorbed emotions. Then, once per day, practice emotional return. When you identify an absorbed emotion, visualize giving it back to its source, not with rejection, but with acknowledgement. This is yours. I witnessed it, but I don't need to carry it. Yet emotional enmeshment is only one face of a more profound challenge. Hidden sign 5, you're overwhelmed by violence, cruelty, and suffering. Even fictional movies hear about tragedies on the news or witness conflict without lasting impact. But for empaths, even fictional suffering triggers genuine trauma responses. You can't watch horror films. Violent news stories haunt you for days. You avoid certain social situations not because you're judgmental, but because witnessing interpersonal cruelty feels unbearable. This is what researchers call vicarious traumatization. And for empaths, the line between vicarious and direct trauma is dangerously thin. Studies on mirror neuron activation reveal why. When you observe suffering, your brain doesn't distinguish well between observed and experienced pain. Dr. Tanya Singer's groundbreaking research using fMRI shows that watching someone receive a painful stimulus activates the same neural networks, anterior insula and anterior cingulate cortex, as experiencing pain yourself. For empaths, this activation is significantly stronger than average. You're not being too sensitive. Your pain processing centers are literally responding as if you're being hurt. Rachel, a nurse, had to leave her profession not because she lacked skill or dedication, but because the accumulated vicarious trauma from witnessing patients suffering created PTSD symptoms indistinguishable from direct trauma. She experienced nightmares, hypervigilance, and emotional numbing, not from her own experiences, but from deeply embodying others' pain. Traditional trauma treatment initially failed because therapists didn't recognize that for empaths, witnessed trauma isn't vicarious, it's neurologically direct. The protective practice here is ruthless curation. Limit exposure to suffering you can't alleviate. This isn't callousness, it's survival. You can't help anyone if you're traumatized by constant exposure to pain. Implement a trauma exposure threshold. Track how much suffering-related content you can process before symptoms emerge, then stay well below that limit. Use Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's recommendation. For every unit of trauma exposure, engage in 2 units of regulation: nature, movement, creativity, connection. This isn't avoidance, it's strategic nervous system management. The 6th sign reveals why empaths struggle in ways that baffle others. Hidden sign 6. You sense dishonesty almost instantly. The authenticity detector. Empaths possess what seems like a supernatural ability to detect lies, hidden motives, and masked emotions. This isn't psychic power, it's hyperactive processing of micro-expressions, vocal tone variations, body language incongruities, and even subtle autonomic nervous system responses in others. While most people consciously process obvious social cues, empaths process thousands of subtle signals unconsciously, creating an intuitive knowing that something is off. Dr. Paul Ekman's research on microexpressions demonstrates that humans reveal true emotions in facial movements lasting less than 1/5 of a second, too fast for conscious detection but processed by the unconscious mind. For empaths, this unconscious processing creates conscious awareness. You just know someone is lying, not through magic, but through your brain's exceptional pattern recognition abilities applied to social emotional data. Neuroimaging studies show empaths have heightened activity in brain regions associated with theory of mind and emotional processing. You're literally computing more social-emotional information per second than the average person. Thomas worked in sales and struggled profoundly, not because he couldn't close deals, but because he could instantly detect when clients were pretending interest or hiding concerns. Colleagues thought he was sabotaging himself when he would address unstated objections before clients voiced them. But Thomas wasn't reading minds. He was reading bodies, micro-expressions, and energy shifts that revealed the truth beneath social performance. This gift made authentic relationships easier, but professional environments nearly unbearable, as he was constantly aware of performative behavior others accepted as normal. Your practice: trust your intuitive hits, but verify through behavioral observation. When you sense dishonesty, don't confront immediately. Watch for patterns that confirm or refute your read. This prevents both false positives, overreading anxiety as dishonesty, and gaslighting yourself into ignoring accurate intuition. Keep a gut-feeling journal. Note when you sense something is off, then track whether reality confirms it. Over time, you'll distinguish accurate intuition from anxiety-based hypervigilance. The seventh sign explains a struggle few empaths discuss openly. Hidden sign 7. You become physically ill around toxic people, the immune response to negativity. This is perhaps the most dismissed yet most physiologically measurable sign. Prolonged exposure to toxic, manipulative, or emotionally dysregulated people makes empaths physically sick. Not metaphorically stressed, actually ill, with weakened immune function, digestive issues, chronic pain, and fatigue. This occurs because the chronic stress toxic energy creates measurable changes in cortisol levels, inflammation markers, and immune system function. Dr. Sheldon Cohen's research at Carnegie Mellon demonstrates that psychological stress directly suppresses immune function, measured through reduced antibody response to vaccines and increased susceptibility to viral infections. For empaths who experience emotional stress not just from their own circumstances, but from absorbing others, the cumulative load can be devastating. Studies on chronic stress and inflammation show that persistent stress elevates cytokine production, creating system-wide inflammation that manifests as seemingly unrelated physical symptoms. Jessica, a teacher, developed a mysterious autoimmune condition that baffled doctors for 2 years. Comprehensive medical testing revealed nothing until a perceptive therapist asked about her work environment. Jessica worked under a principal whose management style created constant anxiety and conflict. Once Jessica recognized the pattern, her symptoms intensified during the school year and diminished during breaks. She understood. Her body wasn't failing randomly. It was responding to sustained exposure to environmental toxicity her nervous system couldn't filter. Within 6 months of changing schools, her symptoms significantly improved. The protocol is uncomfortable but necessary. Toxic people are a health hazard for empaths, not a moral judgment, but a biological reality. If someone consistently triggers physical symptoms, headaches, nausea, fatigue, pain, your body is communicating information your mind might resist. Limit or eliminate contact. This isn't selfishness, it's recognizing that for empaths, toxic relationships aren't just emotionally draining, they're immunologically dangerous. Prioritize your health over social obligation. The final sign is both the most powerful and most commonly misunderstood. Hidden sign 8. You feel deeply connected to animals, nature, and even inanimate spaces, the universal empathy phenomenon. The energetic qualities of places and objects. You feel distress when trees are cut down. You sense the mood of buildings. Animals approach you as if recognizing kinship. This isn't anthropomorphization. It's your nervous system responding to information fields most people don't consciously process. Cutting-edge research on bioelectromagnetic fields suggests that living organisms generate measurable electromagnetic signatures. Studies at HeartMath Institute show that heart rhythms create electromagnetic fields detectable several feet from the body, and that these fields contain emotional information that other nervous systems can receive and process. For empaths, this reception occurs at conscious levels. You're not imagining the forest's sadness or a dog's fear. You're detecting real bioelectromagnetic and behavioral information through hyperactive sensory systems. Elena, a landscape architect, made design decisions based on what she described as listening to the land. Skeptical colleagues dismissed her approach until her projects consistently outperformed traditionally designed spaces in user satisfaction and ecological sustainability. Elena wasn't engaging in magical thinking. She was processing environmental information through sensory channels most people's nervous systems filter: subtle temperature variations, electromagnetic patterns, air quality shifts, and even the sounds of healthy versus distressed ecosystems below conscious hearing thresholds. Your practice: honor this connection without pathologizing it. If nature soothes you, it's not escapism. It's your nervous system accessing coherent electromagnetic fields that help regulate your own. If you avoid certain buildings, trust that response. If animals seek you out, recognize you're offering energetic qualities they find safe. This isn't separate from other empath traits. It's the same neurological sensitivity operating on a broader frequency range. Integration and practice. The Empath Sovereignty Protocol. You now recognize the 8 hidden signs, but awareness without practice leaves you vulnerable. The Empath Sovereignty Protocol transforms recognition into protection, helping you maintain your gifts while defending against their costs. The Daily Baseline Assessment, Weeks 1 to 2. 3 times daily, note your physical, emotional, and energetic state. Establish your neutral baseline, what you feel like when alone and unstimulated. This becomes your reference point for detecting absorbed energy. The Boundary Ritual, Weeks 3 to 4. Before any interaction, visualize an energetic boundary, not a wall, but a permeable filter that allows connection while preventing absorption. Imagine a field around you that lets love through but deflects chaos. This isn't metaphysical. It's using visualization to prime your nervous system for selective resonance. The 3-7-1 method, Weeks 5 to 8. 3 times daily, differentiate your emotions from absorbed ones. After 7 days, identify patterns. Once daily, practice energetic return, releasing emotions that aren't yours. This trains your nervous system to maintain autonomy even during empathic connection. The Recharge Protocol, Weeks 9 to 12. Honor your social thresholds ruthlessly. Schedule solitude after every significant interaction. Implement sensory reset practices, nature exposure, water rituals, movement, creative expression. These aren't indulgences, they're nervous system maintenance. Ethical guidelines. Being an empath doesn't excuse boundary violations, emotional manipulation, or martyrdom. Your sensitivity is real, but it's not everyone else's responsibility to accommodate. Learn to communicate your needs clearly rather than expecting others to intuit them. And remember, protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's what allows you to maintain the gift rather than being destroyed by it. The promise. Empaths who master sovereignty don't lose their sensitivity. They gain choice. You'll still feel deeply, but you'll distinguish your feelings from others. You'll still absorb information others miss, but you'll process it without being overwhelmed. You'll maintain connection without losing yourself. This is the evolved empath, not hardened or shut down, but boundaried and empowered. Return to 1995, to Rizzolatti's laboratory, to the moment mirror neurons were first discovered. That accident didn't just explain a neural mechanism. It's an experience millions of people carry, but few understand. If you've recognized yourself in these 8 signs, you're not imagining your struggles. Your nervous system truly is different. The world will tell you to toughen up, to not take things so personally, to stop being so sensitive. But they're not living in your body, processing reality through your nervous system. You have a choice. Continue struggling against your nature, exhausting yourself trying to be less sensitive, Or recognize that your empathy, properly understood and protected, isn't a burden. It's a form of perception most people can't access. Yes, it makes life harder, but it also makes life richer, deeper, more meaningful. The world needs empaths, people who feel what others miss, who bridge divides through genuine understanding, who refuse to accept surface connections when depths are possible. But the world needs healthy empaths, boundaried, sovereign, empowered. Not martyrs who sacrifice themselves on the altar of everyone else's feelings. Not victims who blame their sensitivity for their suffering. But conscious empaths who honor the gift while protecting the vessel that carries it. The 8 signs aren't just recognition markers. They're invitations. Invitations to step into a new relationship with your sensitivity. One where you're neither ashamed of it nor consumed by it. Where you can be deeply connected without losing yourself. Where feeling everything doesn't mean bearing everything. In our next exploration, we'll reveal the advanced practices, how to transmute absorbed energy, how to maintain empathy in toxic environments, and how to use your gift for healing without destroying yourself in the process. That's the mastery path. But it begins here, with recognition, with validation, with finally understanding. You're not broken. You're wired for depth in a world optimized for surfaces. And that difference, once honored and protected, becomes the very foundation of a life lived with meaning, connection, and truth. You're an empath. Now choose what that means.